Update. Am I the a-hole for kicking my fiancé out after joking he got me pregnant on purpose? Original post. I, 27 female, have been with my fiancé, 26 male, for 3 years. We met while I was on holiday, and a few weeks later, he followed me on Instagram, and the rest is history. We got engaged last year, and a month later, I found out I was pregnant. We now have a beautiful 6-month-old. We hosted Thanksgiving this year, and my fiancé was drinking quite heavily. After dinner, my mom and I were talking about the wedding, which my parents were paying for, and I overheard my fiancé telling my brother, who was just as drunk as him, that he needed to tie me down and get me pregnant, before I realized what a D-head he was. They laughed it off, but it rubbed me the wrong way because our baby was not planned. I wasn't ready for a child, and we were using condoms. But after a few instances where a condom broke, I decided it would be safer to get on birth control. The first month on BC, I got pregnant. We were told that could happen, and he said he would pull out to be safe, but I still got pregnant. I was scared, but I personally didn't want to get an abortion. I 100% believe in the right to get one. I just didn't want one, so I decided to keep the baby. I work for my dad's company, and my fiancé works at a country club. Money wasn't the reason I didn't want a baby. I just wanted to do more before starting a family. I spoke to my fiancé about what he said, and at first, he claimed he didn't remember saying it, understandable because of how drunk he was. Then he said it was just a joke, and was meant as a compliment because I'm so amazing. So I said, okay, good, because we're getting a prenup. I was joking, but I also wanted to see his reaction. He was pissed. He said, why the heck would I sign a prenup? We have a baby together, a house together, and insisted he wouldn't sign one. He argued that we wouldn't need one because we're never separating, and claimed that even mentioning a prenup was insulting and emasculating. I didn't feel threatened, but he made me uncomfortable and he woke our baby up. So I told him to leave, which he did. The day after I kicked him out, he sent me a long, apologetic message saying it was out of character for him to get loud, which is true. He's never acted like that before. I replied, thanking him for the apology, but said I needed a day or two to think everything through. The next day, he sent a bouquet to the apartment. On Sunday, he sent me a booking confirmation for a massage at the club and offered to come over to watch our son and cook dinner. Tonight, he messaged me saying I'm being an a-hole and taking a meaningless joke to heart. He also said he's wasting money on a hotel that he could be saving for the wedding. Now, things that went over my head before are starting to seem suspicious. But breaking up my family over this doesn't feel right. Am I overthinking this or being an a-hole? Edit. A lot of people were asking for context. When I said I wanted a prenup, I wasn't being serious. Maybe I was being an a-hole trying to get a reaction, but based on our 3 years together, I never imagined he'd react the way he did. Why did the joke bother me so much? About a year ago, he lost his job. He was never clear on why, and for the next 3 to 4 months, he didn't do much. He said he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do next. That was the first time he brought up having kids, saying he was ready. I had a candid conversation with him explaining that I wanted kids, but not anytime soon. I enjoy my job, I had trips planned, and I wanted to be married first. He agreed we should wait 3 to 4 years. My dad's company got a contract at a club, which is how he got his job there. But during the time he was out of work, my friends joked that he was a stay-at-home boyfriend, and that I was the provider and he'd be a stay-at-home dad. At the time, it didn't bother me. I used to live there by myself before we got together, so it wasn't a big deal. But I guess it was my friends' jokes that first made me question things. About the condoms breaking, I don't know how long they're breaking. A lot of people are saying they've never had that happen. The first time I noticed, it looked like it had split. Then I checked the next time and it was also broken, which is when I decided to get an IUD. He didn't want me to get one, but I stood my ground, and we compromised by having me go on a pill. I know we should have continued using rubbers, but he said he'd run out and insisted I didn't need them because I was on a pill. In hindsight, I should have insisted we still use them, but I chose not to have that battle. I thought we'd be okay. He knew my opinion on abortion and that I wouldn't get one unless it was for a medical reason. Money-wise, my family is successful. I work for my dad's company and I have 2 trust funds, one of which I got at 18. Before I got pregnant, I was planning to start my own house flipping business, but I decided to put that on hold. I still work from home with flexible hours, but he said that once we're married, he wants me to stop working to focus on our kids and that he'll support us. I've never liked that idea. My parents always taught me the importance of financial stability, and my mom always said to never be financially dependent on anyone. Plus, I'm not sure my fiancé's current salary would cover all our expenses. The only reason I haven't told my dad is because they have a good relationship, and I don't want to blow everything up over what might be an overreaction on my part. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. He is love bombing you. Make a prenup mandatory along with anger management and couples therapy if you choose to stay with him. Don't add him to any documents. What is yours is yours. Create the trust for your child's inheritance and appoint someone other than him to be in charge of it. Talk to your dad and see what he says. Love bombing and then throws a tantrum when it doesn't work the way he wants. Great advice to protect yourself and your child. If he's going to be with you forever, then what does a prenup matter? I agree with other commenters. Seriously pursuing a prenup, which you 1000% should do anyway, will reveal how much of a joke your ties together really are. Prenups protect both parties. When you talk, I think you should ask him what his real serious issue is with a prenup, especially since it would also protect his assets in case of separation. If you're never going to separate, then why would having one even make a difference to him? He should feel so confident in his ability to love you and make this relationship last that some hypothetical future where you aren't together shouldn't even be a concern. Not the a-hole, and you're not overthinking. The time to talk about finances and your future together is now, not after the wedding. Not the a-hole. It's not about the joke. It's about how it made you feel. His reaction and dismissal of your feelings were concerning. You have every right to take a step back and think things through. Now for the update. I-23 female made a post last week about a joke my fiancé 26 male made at Thanksgiving while drunk. For those who haven't seen my older post, he joked that he got me pregnant to tie me down, and I didn't know what to make of it, so I posted here to get outside opinions. I initially didn't want to talk to my friends or family about it, because they're all quite close to him and I didn't want to make a mountain of a molehill and cause a rift in their relationships. Yesterday, we had a conversation about where I was at. He said he couldn't go back to the hotel because they kicked him out for smoking in the room. He had stopped smoking while I was pregnant but said I was stressing him out. He insisted he had to stay at the apartment. While I was on the phone with one of my friends in the bedroom, he came in, took the phone from me, and told me to come eat. While we were eating, he said he understood what I had said and that things needed to change for us to move forward. He then proceeded to list all the things I needed to do to make things better. His tone throughout the conversation made me uneasy. I texted my dad, saying he was making me uncomfortable when my fiancé wasn't looking. I went to check on the baby, and when I came back, I saw him take my keys out of my purse but didn't say anything. He took my silence as agreement to everything he said and went to bed instead of the couch as we had agreed, like everything was normal. I stayed in the living room and my dad, bless him, drove 6 hours to come get us. My dad arrived at the apartment around 5 a.m. while my fiancé was still sleeping, and we left. My son and I are now at my parents' house. My fiancé has been blowing up my phone since this morning. I sent him a text as we were driving off, saying he wasn't respecting the fact that I needed space and time to figure everything out. I told him he could stay in the apartment and I'd stay at my parents' house. We haven't officially broken up or called the wedding off. My parents, who have paid for the wedding, have said they don't care if I want to cancel it, but I feel bad. I just want to say thank you to everyone who replied to my original post and messaged me privately. I didn't think people would care about me. I feel like every option I have is bad. The thought of being a single mom is scary. If my fiancé's behavior gets worse, that would be awful. If we cancel the wedding and cost my parents thousands of dollars, I'll feel guilty. And if we break up altogether, We just got a house together. We're both on the mortgage, and we have joint accounts. Being without him for good is also scary. He sounds crazy, and not the type of person you'd want to spend your life with. Not the a-hole. What he said was really insensitive. Getting a woman pregnant on purpose, especially when it's not planned and you made it clear you didn't want that, is a serious matter. I believe you should seek legal advice. Though I'm no expert, you're not the a-hole. You did the right thing. Warm hugs to you. I hope you figure it out. It wasn't a joke. It's what he actually did. He just accidentally said it out loud too early because he thought he had her locked down. Your dad is freaking awesome. He really is. The fact that he jumped in the car immediately to drive 6 hours also shows how much of a douche your fiancé is perceived to be by others. Your dad was probably thinking, finally, the rose-colored glasses have fallen. OP, stay gone. This guy is bad news. He got you pregnant, laid down the law, and hid your car keys. Don't feel bad about your parents losing money over the wedding. From what you've told us about his latest stunt and your friends' commentary about him, trust us, they are pleased as punch that he finally revealed himself to you in terms you can't ignore. I'm guessing you've been biting their tongues, but despite their concerns, chose to respect and support your choices. The money is insignificant compared to the emotional and psychological price you would have paid by staying in this abusive relationship. They said they didn't like how we were getting so serious so fast, or how he moved into my apartment. But then I got pregnant and they didn't want to seem unsupportive. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my daughter's grandparents take her this Christmas? I, 30 female, am the single mother of Clara, 2 female. My pregnancy wasn't planned. I had a no-strings-attached relationship with her father Jack, 30s male, for 7 months when I became unexpectedly pregnant. He lived in another state but visited my city monthly for business, and we hit it off after meeting in a bar. We considered our options regarding the pregnancy, but I decided to keep the baby. Jack wanted to be part of her life, so we planned to raise her together as co-parents, not as a couple. Unfortunately, Jack passed away during my pregnancy. Jack's parents, Linda and James, knew I was pregnant when he passed. We had already done a prenatal paternity test at the time. We are all devastated by his passing, but his parents, understandably, were destroyed. Clara's their first and only grandchild, and they say she became their beacon of light in a dark time. Jack's parents have 2 other daughters, Ruth, 37 female, and Lily, 27 female. Ruth has been trying to conceive for a long time, and Lily's child-free and single. Jack's entire family lives in another state with the exception of Lily, who lives abroad. They have a family business and strong ties to their hometown, while I have my family and career in my current city where I live with Clara. Since Clara was born, we've had an informal visitation agreement. They usually visit Clara twice a month, with James and Linda being the most frequent visitors, and Ruth occasionally joining them. I genuinely appreciate their presence in Clara's life. A recurring point of contention has been traveling to their state. They have a large family property that has been in their family for over 100 years, and they wanted Clara to experience her heritage. While I understand the importance of this, I have always firmly refused to allow them to travel with Clara without me. I have visited their hometown 3 times with Clara since she was born, but apparently this isn't enough. While our relationship was mostly civil, there were issues with Linda meddling in my parenting. Things became more tense after I started dating Ted, 34 male, a year ago. Ted and I don't live together, but he has a daughter, Marie, 4 female, who lives with him. Linda has expressed disapproval of Ted's constant presence in my house, which is untrue. We see each other 3 to 4 times a week due to our busy schedules. She's also commented on Marie's playdates and sleepovers with Clara, as well as even trivial things like Ted's car parked in front of my house. 2 weeks ago, I emailed Linda, James, and Ruth to invite them for Christmas Eve. Ted and I are hosting a get-together with our families and close friends. I let them know they could also take Clara for lunch on Christmas Day if they preferred. The next day, Linda texted me to say they already had plans to take Clara to their home for Christmas. I told her that was not happening. I didn't hear from her for 2 days, until she called and said she gave me time to cool off and be reasonable. She claimed they had waited long enough to take Clara home for Christmas, and that now that Clara's older, she can travel without me. I told her that wasn't something we had discussed, and that I wouldn't allow them to take my daughter on a trip without talking to me first. Linda argued that this call was discussion. I laughed and told her she was delusional. Things escalated quickly. She accused me of trying to replace Jack in Clara's life, and I said some harsh things about Jack never having met Clara. After Linda hung up, James called to reason with me. He let it slip that they had purchased Clara's plane ticket 2 months ago without asking me. I told him there was no way and let them walk all over me. James lost his temper and demanded I apologize to Linda or they would take me to court. I told him they were the ones choosing to fight, not me. After some silence from them, I was served with court papers. They're suing me for custody of Clara, claiming I am unfit as a mother. I already have a lawyer who has assured me they have almost no chance of getting custody. At most, they might get visitation rights. Still, I'm worried about this turning into a long legal battle. Some clarifications. 1. How do Linda and James know details about my life? They visit at least twice a month. They pick up and drop off Clara at my house, which is how Linda noticed Ted's car parked in my driveway. She commented on it because, in my gated community, only homeowners are allowed to park there. They also used to FaceTime Clara 3 times a week, during which they saw Marie during playdates or sleepovers. 2. Did they expect Clara to travel alone? No. James said they planned to fly to my city, take Clara with them, and bring her back after a week. Clara was never meant to travel alone. 3. Do I think they would kidnap her? I don't know. Their behavior has made me paranoid. James claimed they bought her return ticket, but I don't trust their word anymore without proof. 4. Do I still have contact with them? No. My lawyer advised me to cut all visits and video calls and communicate only through lawyers. If they text or email me, I forward it to my lawyer. Thank you for your advice and support. Clara and I lived in a very secure community with cameras and armed security. Nobody will take her from me. Now for the top comments. Absolutely not the a-hole. Clara's your child. The idea of a 2-year-old traveling without her mother is asinine. You were very kind to encourage their relationship with your daughter. However, they are taking things way too far. They will not get custody. Do not allow them any contact with Clara. They may try to take her. They've made their intentions clear. Any further communication with them will be twisted and used against you. Congratulations on your new relationship. You deserve happiness and peace. Thank you for validating my feelings. Just as a heads up, I would bet money they'll call a false CPS case on you. Talk to your lawyer about the possibility and what you can do to be proactive before it starts. Not the a-hole. They bought plane tickets 2 months ago without asking you? That's not planning ahead. That's delusional. You are Clara's mom, not some vacation rental they can book on Airbnb. Exactly. That's what ticked me off the most. Who does that with someone else's child? They act like Clara's their child, not mine. Fiancé used my childhood trauma to win a video game. Plus mini update. I don't even know how to type this or explain my thoughts right now, so I apologize if I seem scattered. I, 31 male, have been engaged to my fiancé Emily, 29 female, for the past 3 months. We've been together for 2 years. She has been the only relationship where I felt safe enough to open up and discuss my past trauma. Many nights I have cried into her arms, and she has been there to comfort me. She goes to therapy with me and has been a rock in our relationship. I have been getting much better since I really opened up about it, and have been able to live a better and more liberating life over the past 2 years, until last Saturday. Emily is ultra competitive, not just in sports, but in life. She will do whatever it takes to win and be number 1. She has lost friendships, family relationships, jobs, and money. She understands this and has been trying to get better by going to therapy.
stating she doesn't know why she is like this. She seemed to cool down over the summer, but she is still very competitive. Even her parents have no idea why she is this way, because they were not athletes and have never pushed her to be number one. Her siblings are also confused about when this all started. I was a former college athlete, and yes, I am competitive, but not so much anymore. Recently, my friend group started a monthly game night. I was on a 4-month win streak. We played board games, old video games, painting, basketball, and even football. It's all in good fun, but last month Emily was so angry she didn't win that she walked home and didn't want to talk to me for at least 2 days. Before we left for game night, I asked her to please have fun and that it doesn't matter who wins. She promised she would try. As game night came to an end, Emily and I were tied with one more event. The rules are that if it's a man versus woman match, the lady chooses the final game. She selected N64 Mario Kart. I'm the king of that game. I never lose. I asked her if she really wanted to do that, and she called me a chicken while big talking about how she would beat me at my own game. I should have backed off, but I caved and we raced. Now, common knowledge is let her win, and trust me, I thought about it. But she gets really angry if she thinks you let her win. Her attitude is way worse then. As we started racing, it was a tight match. She kept hitting the banana peels, but she kept catching up. On the last lap, she started trying to distract me by saying he snores when he sleeps, using basic middle school insults. Then she tried bumping me to distract me, but I was locked in and focused. I responded back, at least I don't keep hitting the bananas, love. Very simple and fun. We were in the final leg of the race, and that's when she snapped, at least I didn't get SA'd by my own family. I froze up, dropped the controller, and she passed me and won. She was jumping up and down with joy, screaming and dancing that she finally won. From what my friends told me later, she kept that up for a good while until she saw my face, and that's when she stopped. My friends were in complete shock, asking me if that was true. I couldn't speak, I couldn't breathe, and I was fighting back all the inner demons swirling in my head. I simply got up, wished them a good night, and started walking. I was in a trance. I didn't even know where I was walking to. Emily tried calling and texting, asking where I was, begging me to call and come home. She kept saying she's sorry, just wanted to win so badly, and doesn't know why she said that. I told her to please stop calling me. I needed space. I don't know what to do. I love this girl and trusted her, but she used that trust to win a freaking video game. My friends are now asking me about my past and won't leave me alone. I guess all I'm asking is there any way back from this, or is this the end? Do I dump her or try to work this out? Any advice would be very helpful. Now for the top comments before the mini update. I'm sorry, but I really don't see how this relationship can survive. She not only used the one thing that you trusted her with, but she also used your pain and trauma to win a goddamn video game, and in front of other people who were clueless about your past. I don't think there is anything a person could do to get past that level of disrespect and complete lack of decency. I'm so sorry for your past and what you went through. Is there any friend you feel comfortable enough to talk to? Are you seeing a therapist? Heck, even keep talking to people on here if you think it would help. Please don't shut out your friends, and please don't shut down. Lean on your friends or whoever you feel comfortable around. Final thought, F that evil witch. I'm glad you emphasized on avoiding shutting out his friends. They can be real help when you will need it the most, if their intentions are good by asking you about it. Lean on whoever you're comfortable with, and time to start all over again. It is never too late. You got this. And yes, F that evil witch. You deserve better. I really hope he listens. He deserves so much better, and I hope his friends keep trying to reach him. My heart breaks for him. There is no way back from this. You will never, ever feel safe with her again, and you will never trust her again, and you shouldn't. Just tell her you hope winning a stupid game was worth losing your relationship, and that if she's smart, she'll stay single until she figures out and fixes whatever the heck is wrong with her. Yeah, she needs a lot more therapy if she had a gut instinct to do that. It's cruel, and I can't imagine hurting someone I love so badly over something so stupid like Mario Kart. Wow. Some things, when broken, take years to fix, and one of those things is trust. This will be on your mind, OP, as you say your vows. She has tainted a relationship. This won't just go away. Edit. I want to thank everyone for their comments and DMs. I've been reading all of them for the past 3 hours. I guess I knew this was the end of this relationship, but after spending 2 years with someone, having strong feelings, and trusting them, I wanted to see if a majority of people could see something else that I didn't, something that could save it. After reading the comments, I guess I overlooked the massive red flags that Emily had. I decided to sit down with my friend group tonight and tell them about my past. It will be difficult, but I will also text Emily tonight and meet with her tomorrow. Next story. My wife of 10 years divorced me for cheating on her, emptied out the house, and went out of her way to make my life a living hell. Except I never cheated. My wife and I were together for 10 years, and throughout our entire relationship, she always suspected me of cheating on her. The first time she accused me of cheating, about 2 years into the relationship. I was so upset that she could think I was capable of something like this that I started crying on the spot. But I work in a career field where cheating is rampant, and I travel a lot for work, so I understood where the insecurity might come from. I always believed that if I demonstrated myself as a loyal and faithful husband, she would eventually realize that this belief was misplaced. But instead, it seemed to get worse over the years. These conversations and accusations would always lead to fights and became more and more frequent over time. About 2 years ago, she became even more convinced and would say things like, "I know you're cheating on me, and it has been really difficult for me to come to terms with it and forgive you." Everyday activities became proof of my infidelity. If I worked late, it was because I was actually out meeting my affair partner. If I woke up early to go for a run, I was actually meeting her for a 6 a.m. quickie. When my motorcycle was vandalized, it was a jilted ex-lover. I demanded that we go to couples counseling, and she refused, saying, "Why should I have to go to counseling? You're the one that's doing it." She gave examples, such as the fact that I masturbate 3 to 5 times per week, as evidence that I was addicted to sex, and suggested that I join a Sexaholics Anonymous group. About 6 months ago, I was away on a work trip, and she texted me, "I finally found a proof that you're cheating on me like I had always suspected," and emailed me divorce paperwork. I was dumbfounded and asked her to tell me what proof she was referring to, but she replied, "It's not my job to share that with you. It's your job to prove to me that you're not cheating." I immediately came home to find that she had already moved out and taken everything in the house with her. She had a portrait of ourselves commissioned, and she had left it behind with her face cut out of it and "cheater" scrawled across my face. Over the next few weeks, she contacted all my friends, family, and coworkers to tell them that I had been cheating on her for years and that she was finally leaving me after no longer being able to deal with it. I lost a lot of friends who took her at her word and had to have so many uncomfortable conversations with others. Among those who decided not to cut me out of their lives, I have no idea who even believes me. I had to sit down with HR at work because my coworkers had filed complaints about being harassed by my ex. I had to dip into my retirement savings to pay for a divorce lawyer and replace everything in the house that had been taken. If she had simply decided to leave me, I would have been heartbroken but would have accepted it. Heck, if she was cheating on me, I would have been more upset, but could have come to terms with it. But I feel like such a victim, if that's the right word. I did my best to be a good husband and demonstrate to her that I was loyal, only to still be punished for something that never happened. I feel so stupid for failing to notice how serious these accusations were, for thinking that ignoring them would make them go away. And somehow, I also blame myself for not insisting that we address this issue years ago when it might have still been salvageable. My entire life was destroyed over nothing. Sue for defamation? She's publicly accusing you and affecting your career and social life by making accusations directly to friends, family, workplace, and I'm assuming online as well. Sounds like defamation to me. OP, your lawyer really needs to make this happen. She stole from you by taking everything in the house and is intentionally affecting your job. Your marriage is over. Your wife went nuclear. Time to make sure she pays for the cleanup. There's no coming back from any of this. Even if she begs, you will find a partner who values and trusts you like your ex never did. But you need to go on the offensive to make sure she pays for what she's done. You should have divorced her 10 years ago after the first incident. It sounds like your relationship was built on a lack of trust instead of the other way around. I'm sorry you went through that. Hopefully you can move forward in peace. Also, would love to know what job is rampant with cheating. Pilot or flight attendant was my first guess. Maybe he's a baker that lures women in with his sweet treats and breads. Lol. She was cheating. Took the coward's way out of the marriage. Although just speculation. Yep. I had an ex who always talked about me cheating and suspected me of cheating even though I was tied to her at the hip. I always told her that she'd be the one to cheat. Guess who ended up cheating? Hint, not me. Last story. I think I just torched my marriage by withdrawing consent to implant our very last embryo. F you, F you, F you. You're an F-head. I effing hate you. These are the words that came out of my wife's mouth today as we were walking our son home from daycare. We're both professionals in our 40s, yet in that moment, you wouldn't have guessed. We were having an argument over my perception that she was pandering to our son's tantrums and not enforcing boundaries. And then that happened. It was on a street in public, and I was holding my son's hand. I asked her quietly several times not to speak to me that way, especially in front of our son, and she just kept repeating herself. I'm in my car now, numb, typing this out. She's definitely had a rough go of it lately. She just learned that her umpteenth, I've lost count, round of IVF has failed, and is also dealing with all the excess hormones she's been injecting herself with. She's been passed up for a promotion at work and didn't get another job at a different company. She has one of the top jobs in the country in her field, but she's a high achiever. After the birth of our son, she went through horrible PPD and lost her fitness after having qualified for and competing in the World Championships for her sport. I'm not denying she has many valid reasons to feel upset. God knows I'm not perfect and probably contribute to her unhappiness at times. But her reactions to her feelings are getting more and more unhinged. She's thrown our boy, as a baby, down on a couch in frustration. She's lashed out and told me she finds me unattractive after I lost fitness during the pandemic following the birth of our son. I still hit the gym 2 to 3 times a week, ran weekly 5Ks, cycle up 200 kilometers at a time, and fit into medium t-shirts, though I no longer had visible abs. She road raged at another woman, even following her to her exit after a submerged dispute. And now this pure and adulterated vitriol. It breaks my heart that my son got to see it. His little sponge of a brain has absorbed something today, something I'm hoping to dear God doesn't become some dormant memory that manifests itself in a couple of decades, when it's his turn to have a serious partner. I've just withdrawn my consent for the transfer of our last remaining embryo. We've spent damn near $100,000 trying, but I can't bring another kid into this. She will lash out again. She'll try apologizing. She might love mommy. But I'd never forgive myself if something happened to this kid. She's proven herself to be both physically and verbally abusive. But the last thing she'll do after all these fails is resent me, then leave me. Now for the comments. Just read your post history. How was she before you had kids? How was your communication? I moved halfway across the world to marry her. She was wonderful. Communication was open, honest, and supportive. PPD changed everything, and she never really bounced back. Was the PPD ever properly treated? Is it possible that the depression is still there or has been triggered again? It doesn't excuse her behavior, but I know my depression/anxiety manifests as rage. Usually, I'm able to recognize it and realize I need to talk to my psychiatrist about my medication, but that's only after a couple of blow-ups. Sounds like she's going through a lot and needs help. So she stops taking it out on you and her son. As someone who has suffered from hormone-induced / increased depression and anxiety, sometimes manifesting as rage in the form of PMDD, it sounds as if the hormones your wife has been taking as part of the IVF could be aggravating her already questionable mental health. Just an aside to give you an indication of what my hormonal hell is like, when my PMDD gets bad, I turn to an irrational raging bee. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I can see myself acting that way, but I snap so quickly that I had no time to control it. Hormones can seriously mess with our mental health, something that isn't studied enough. I have said awful things that I didn't mean just to upset others. I have rage quit jobs, ended relationships, and dealt with suicidal ideation. It's scary to feel out of control, and that just increases the anxiety, which increases the depression, and so on. Now that you've withdrawn consent, will she stop using the hormones? That may be the first step in a series of getting her balance back out. Has she continued to take the medication prescribed after her PPD diagnosis? Did it seem to help while she was taking it? It seems like she would benefit from taking an antidepressant. Zoloft has literally saved my life. Would she be receptive to discussing all of this after she calms herself? I truly hope for the best outcome for all of you, whatever that may look like at this point. I'm so sorry you've been struggling with this, and I'm sorry that she doesn't appear to be self-aware enough to know what damage she is doing to you, your son, and your relationship. I hope she will get the help she desperately needs. The hormones are absolutely a thing. She's on 3 times the dose she was when we successfully conceived our first, also through IVF. She's reached out to her doc already regarding stopping the meds, and she's agreed to therapy. So I'll take those small wins and go from there. Thanks for sharing. Edit. I'm blown away by the responses and messages, both supportive and critical. I'm sorry I can't go through and respond to every single one, but I do read them. Thank you in particular to the women who have gone through PPD/IVF/both, who have reached out. And to those who grew up in abusive households. Your comments and stories are eye-opening. She's agreed to couples and individual therapy. Therapists are mandatory reporters here, so I will be following their advice regarding next steps. I appreciate the comments telling me to get out. If a trained professional has safety concerns and comes to that same conclusion, I will. But I also know my wife of the last 3 years is not the same person I fell in love with over a decade ago, and I owe it to our family to see if that person still exists. Update. Am I the a-hole for not giving my girlfriend my social security number so she can run a background check on me? Original post. I, 27 male, have been in a relationship with my girlfriend, 31 female, for almost a year now. This evening, she sat me down and said she needed to have a serious conversation with me, and then she asked for my social security number. I said absolutely not. Why would you need that? She told me about her ex-boyfriend who was basically living a double life. He had a bunch of criminal charges in his past that he'd never told her about, and eventually exposed her to some sketchy and dangerous behavior before she broke things off after he cheated. I said, okay, thank you for telling me that, but what does that have to do with my social security number? She said ever since then, she's had her friend who works for the federal government run background checks on people to make sure they're safe. And because our relationship is progressing, she needs to know I'm a safe partner for her. So she wants my social security number to check my criminal history. Now, for the record, I don't even have a parking ticket. I'm a nerd and a gym rat. All I do is work, go to school, play Dungeons and Dragons, come home, watch anime, rinse and repeat. So I don't care about the background check. She won't find anything. But I'm not giving out my social security number. I don't feel comfortable enough providing that to her friend. When I said that, she got upset and said I don't understand what women go through and that it's about safety. I admitted she's right. I have no idea what women go through. But that doesn't mean I'm giving my social security number out to a complete stranger. She said he isn't a stranger. He's one of her best friends and married to a close friend of hers. I said, honey, that's great, but I don't know him. I don't trust him because I don't know him. That's my information you're asking for. You can trust him with your personal information if you want, but no one I don't know is getting my social security number or critical details. It's just not happening. She said our relationship isn't going to be able to progress unless I give him my social security number because she needs to know that she's safe. And she's offended that I don't trust her taste in friends. I got up and left at that point and told her I respect her concerns, but her past trauma doesn't give her the right to try and strong-arm me into giving out sensitive information to someone I don't know, just because he works for the federal government and has access to a database. I used to work for the federal government, so I can say from experience, everyone working there isn't some wonderful person. I'm not assuming he is a monster or anything, but just working for the feds doesn't prove anything to me. She called me insensitive and hasn't spoken to me since. Personally, I feel like she was gaslighting me into giving her what she wants, but I'm not sure. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Sketchy AF. Is this relationship progress about moving in together or intimacy? It's kind of giving me a long-distance vibes along with scam. Trust your gut. Yeah, it's about moving in together. She's talking about wanting to take the next step in our relationship, which I was cool with until this. At least she dropped her crazy bomb on you before y'all moved in together. She's using real female victim situations to manipulate you into risky behavior. That's really crappy in so many ways. I would honestly break up over this, and I'm a woman too. I've been married to my husband for over 5 years, and we've been together for almost 13 years, with 2 kids ages 11 and almost 9. And he doesn't even know my social security number. I don't know his. We don't know our kids. They're all safe stored in our safe, but we don't use each other's info, and I only use the kids when we are dealing with stuff like healthcare. If she seriously thinks that's the only way for her to be safe with you is to use your personal info for a full background check, there is no trust in your relationship already. Don't give in here. Not the a-hole. I'm a federal employee who does have access to some systems like that in order to locate people. And it is 100% against the law to use them for personal reasons. In fact, we have to try all other reasonable ways to find someone before using these systems. There is something sketchy there. Also, you don't need a social security number to do a background check. A name and address or birth date are enough. Full name with address or a birth date is absolutely enough. I just had a background check completed. I've had them every 5-ish years for the last 20 because I volunteer with children. Some were in-state, some federal. I also have been screened by the government for a permit several times. I have never had to provide a social security number. Sadly, I think your girlfriend may be the criminal, and you may be her long con mark. I just said the same thing. She's up to something. No one's risking their career for this girl. Now for the update. After reading the comments I've been getting over the last few days, I decided to call her on New Year's Eve and give things one last chance, because I'm the type of person that needs to know I did everything I could before I walk away from a relationship. Some people said she had valid concerns, she just went about them the wrong way, which made sense. I told her, I understand and respect your need to ensure your safety, but I'm not willing to potentially compromise my safety to make you feel safe by handing over my social security number to someone I don't know and don't trust. And it's illegal for him to even use a federal database for personal reasons. So that's out. But what I will do is pay for a background check of your choosing, so long as it's legitimate service, and give you the results. I will not be providing my social security number to anyone, but my address, date of birth, etc. are all fair game. She refused and said that she had chosen a background check and that's having her friend do it because she knows that she can trust him. So I said, if that's how you feel and you won't budge, then the issue here is trust. And I'm not willing to stay in a relationship with a woman that doesn't trust me because of some stuff that doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm not paying for another man's sins, and I'm not giving you my social security number because your ex was a criminal. She started crying and asking why I can't understand that it's not about me, it's about her. I said, you made it about me when you asked for my social security number. She got pissed and started accusing me of lying about caring about her safety, saying that if I really cared, that I'd have no problem doing this because I don't understand how vulnerable women are in society. So I said, I was willing to work with you up to a reasonable point, but now you're just trying to manipulate me, and I don't feel safe being with you anymore. Because if this is how you react when you don't get your way about having my social security number, what happens the next time we have a major disagreement or a serious situation come up? Are you going to keep crying to try and get your way, or throw out another ultimatum to try and force me into doing what you want? She started saying that, as a man, I can't understand what it's like to go through life as a woman and have to be afraid, and that this is what she has to do for her safety and security, and I need to just respect that and give her what she needs for her comfort. I said, I tried to compromise. You wouldn't accept it. There's nothing more to say here. And to be clear, I wasn't exactly calm. I have severe anxiety, so this was a really hard conversation for me to have. I was actively pacing around my house, sweating and forcing words out the entire time. Then she started crying and asking about New Year's because we were supposed to spend it with her parents. I said, you should have thought about that before you try to strong-arm me into getting your way. This isn't an and everyone stood up and applauded moment. That's just how things went. I hung up and now we're over. Obviously, I'm hurt, but I'm realizing I dodged a bullet because there's no reason things could have gotten this freaking messy. And before anyone tries to jump me into comments, again, I offered to pay for the check. She refused because it wasn't the test she wanted. I feel like I made a good faith effort to resolve things. Hate to ring in the new year without a kiss under the mistletoe, but it is what it is. I don't know if she really is that concerned I'm some lunatic criminal, or if she's trying to scam me like a lot of you said. Either way, it's over now. As a woman, I don't understand her need for a social security number. Lol. Good riddance and Happy New Year. Exactly. There's no good reason for her to need his social security number. Her insistence is so odd. He even offered to use a background check service and give her the report. The fact that she only wanted his social security number so that her friend could misuse his access to federal databases is so shady. Good riddance to her. OP, you're better off without this one. I doubt there's probably a friend in the government, but if there is, he needs to be reported. If you know which friend she was gonna have run the background check, report him to his employer. Because he's 100% gonna get investigated and likely fired for misusing personal information. Totally. I worked for a state agency that had access to federal databases. I had a federal security clearance for work purposes. A coworker of mine abused the system, and our agency's management was alerted, and 3 weeks later, she was terminated. It's a professional privilege to have those clearances, and they should not be taken lightly. Next story. Am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife and telling everyone that she cheated on me? I, 28 male, have been married to my wife, 29 female, for 2 years and dated her for 4 years. I won't lie, I still love her and it still hurts me a bit to let her go. But I have no other choice but to divorce her because she betrayed me. I found out that my wife cheated on me. She didn't actually cheat. She was just kissing someone while dancing with him. To be honest, I never suspected her, and there were no red flags either, even when I checked her phone. Until one of her friends whom I barely know showed me a photo. I asked her multiple questions like if she sleeps around or repeatedly kisses someone else, etc. But she said this never happened before, and she was very drunk. However, she thought I should know. I thanked her and told her to forward that photo to me. I immediately asked my wife if she ever cheated. She denied it, so I showed her the photo. My wife started crying and said it was a mistake, the only mistake she has made, and she didn't tell me because she thought I would get angry. I said, "Of course you wouldn't," and then told her I was divorcing her. She was shocked and then said she anticipated that I would get angry, but she didn't think I would divorce her and throw away a relationship of 6 years over a kiss. I said I would and started leaving. She tried to stop me, but I didn't listen. She and our families both called me a lot and sent me angry texts. I ignored them all and instead got drunk and started going to clubs. When I had enough of this harassment, I sent a long text to everyone explaining everything and sent the photo. My wife sent me an angry text after I ignored her calls. She said that I shouldn't have told everyone about what's happening in our life, and her family members are angry at her. Some even cut her off. She said I should have kept it between us and that I'm going too far over a kiss when she was so drunk she could barely walk. So am I the a-hole for telling everyone that she cheated? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She didn't actually cheat. She was just kissing someone. Brother, that's cheating. Not to mention she lied before you pulled out the evidence. What else is she lying about and not telling you? Yes, my brother, I know it is cheating. No one, man or woman, should ever be okay with this. I already made up my mind to leave her, and I will. I was just posting to see if I did the right thing by telling everyone that she cheated. I have been drinking heavily, and I'm still drunk, and I still wouldn't kiss another woman because I am married. Nobody deserves this. If I, or anyone else, stays in this situation, they will constantly live in fear of what their spouse is doing behind their back. What's the point of marriage without trust? Not the a-hole. I find it ironic that she was fine with involving her family when they were harassing you, but not when you told them the truth and they started harassing or cutting her off. If she didn't want to involve anyone, she should have kept her mouth shut. Cut the booze, man. You'll end up in the gutter with nothing. The only mistake she has made. I have a bridge to sell you. Yep, she only kissed. She only made one mistake. She was drunk. It was only this time. Haha. Cheater's Handbook Chapter 1. Excuses. Not the a-hole. She dragged the family into your marital issues, not you. She fooled around and found out, and does not like the consequences. Exactly this. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to hear my husband's side of the story? My husband was fired from his job today for sexual harassment. It's actually from a case that was almost 3 years ago. I never knew anything about it until he came home and started ranting about this lying bee coworker. I never knew anything about this case until now. These investigations and incidents would have happened when I was pregnant with our child, who's now 32 months old. This is also after he had an affair with a coworker 5 years ago, and we went to therapy for that. So I believe the claims. I packed my stuff and my children's things to stay with my mother when I heard about the case. My husband is saying he has had the worst week ever and that I'm adding to his stress. I have been a stay-at-home mom for our children, and I have tried to be the best wife possible after his last affair. But the sexual harassment claims hurt, and he has been found legally liable for them. I really don't want to hear his side of the story this time. My parents and sister are helping pay for a divorce attorney. And my husband is saying he's having a crisis and that I left him at his worst time. I really feel nothing about this situation because, while I was pregnant, he kept talking about stress at his job and yelling at me for being lazy when I was too tired to do much. And he refused to help out at home because of the stress. Now I find out this stress was probably his own making. He keeps texting my family because I have blocked him to tell his side of the story, but I don't even care at this point because of his past behavior. Not the a-hole. He had almost 3 years to tell you what was going on. You do what you need to do to take care of yourself and your children. If there was a sexual harassment investigation going on about me that I knew about, 1. Inform my wife. 2. Strategize with my wife. But this is because my wife knows I'd never cheat on her or sexually harass anyone. He created this crisis. He can't freaking use it for sympathy. Block him and move on, babe. I'm sorry you had a man like that. But now she doesn't. Good for OP for seeing what a piece of crap he really is and protecting herself and the kids from further hurt. He is in crisis? Of course he never thought about his wife and kids, their lives being uprooted and their crisis. It's all about poor him, poor him, poor him. And OP, it's not easy right now, but you and your kids deserve so much better than him. Wishing you all the best and sending strength and healing your way. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not getting back together with my ex-fiancé for our son's sake? I, 27 male, share a 6-month-old son with my ex, 25 female. While she was pregnant with our son, she accused me of cheating. I wasn't. Gave me back the engagement ring and moved in with her parents. This was about 10 or 11 months ago. Fast forward, I still live in the house I bought when we first found out about the baby. I pay child support, and we have joint custody. She still lives with her parents. Since we broke up, I have been exercising more and lost about 40 pounds. I am also starting to casually date. On Christmas Day, we spent it together with my son at my house. It was a fun time. Afterwards, she approached me about maybe us getting back together. Personally, I'm not particularly interested in doing that. I told her I would think about it. I told my sister about the conversation. She thinks I need to give it a try for my son. I think she has a lot of trauma from our parents not being together. I think we are doing fine co-parenting, and being in a relationship just for a kid is a bad idea. She then trauma dumped on me. I told my ex earlier this week that I wasn't interested in getting back together. She cried pretty profusely about it and was quite upset. I am 99% sure I am in the right here, but looking for other perspectives. Am I the a-hole? No, you're in the right. Being in a toxic relationship for the sake of the child is likely worse than your current arrangement. She made her choice when she accused you of cheating and gave back the ring. The ship has sailed. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your ex has proven that she doesn't trust you, and that makes her untrustworthy in my eyes. It's usually the ones cheating who accuse others of cheating on them. Sounds like her side piece didn't work out, and now wants to come crawling back to the safe, stable, well-off dude that has his act together.